always gonna live wrong. That's alright.
Hey there, Sherry here. I've been thinking about truth. What's true and what isn't? And to get right down to it, how do we define truth? Well, here's what I think. Truth is what you believe is so. Untruth or a lie is what you believe is not so. A fact is just a belief held by a whole bunch of people. And a belief is simply a single thought repeated so often that it becomes your truth. In other words, your truth is what you want to believe is true. People get in an uproar about this subject because we can't rely on newspapers or TV or social media to just report the facts. And if you think, as do I, that a fact is just a belief held by a whole bunch of people, then you want to know exactly who that person is who's giving you the facts, suggesting that you join everybody else and jump off the cliff. And I would especially avoid drinking his Kool-Aid. You generally only find out it was laced with poison just before you croak. And guess who doesn't croak? That's right, the fellow who convinced you to drink it. So where does that leave us? What's true and what isn't? Well, do you believe in the truth fairy? Hazel, that's my truth fairy's name, Hazel. She says truth belongs to the believer. So whatever you believe is true is a fact until you decide it isn't. Until you decide it isn't. Interesting thought. Hazel hangs with me pretty much all the time and whispers in my ear when I need it. Her magic wand may have seen better days, but she's still very tuned into what needs to be fixed. And she says our brains are broken, that we've stopped thinking for ourselves. She says some beliefs are like parasites. They find a home in the unconscious part of our mind, often in childhood, and percolate and grow as we search out other people who reinforce those same beliefs. These days, it's easy to find people who match our buried beliefs. It's easy to like their posts and tweets and what all, and hang with that circle and repost whatever info they've grabbed onto in their trip down the rabbit hole. Occasionally along the way, we may sort of wake up and decide to change what we believe. But the problem is those belief parasites are hard to get rid of, especially if you don't even know you're infected with those suckers. Now, some group beliefs are good. Our belief that if we drive on the right side of the road, we'll make it safely to our destination is definitely a good thing. Thinking about driving on the left side of the road makes my stomach upset. It goes against a firmly held belief I was taught since I first rode in an automobile. But to folks in a few other countries, it's what is agreed to by all to keep them safe on the road. And if we drive there, we follow their rules. That's just common sense. Then you might say, well, doesn't common sense simply tell you that no matter what country you're in, you should get out of the way of another car that's heading toward you on the wrong side of the road? You would think so. But I have a true story that I may tell you later, demonstrating that there is a stunning lack of common sense in some folks, even when danger is facing you head on. But too often, we collectively just keep heading down the wrong side of the road, expecting a hand to reach out of the sky and save us from a head-on collision. What's that, honey? Hazel's whispering again. Speak up, I can't hear you. Oh, Hazel is reminding me how I suspended all common sense when it came to selecting a husband. Well, she's right about that. This just might be a perfect time for a pause. Would you please consider liking, subscribing, and sharing this channel? And don't forget that notification. It sure would help. Thank you. Hazel, honey, please stop whispering. Oh, all right. I'll tell the story. It's pretty short, but crazy. Kind of like my first marriage. Full of fun, but totally lacking in common sense on both sides. My first husband didn't seem to know where home was, but he never stopped looking for 5 years until he finally settled on a new home with a new wife. Then a few years later, after deciding that entirely new criteria was required for choosing a husband, I picked number 2 based on the traits I saw in his common sense mother. And she was full of common sense. However, he was not. In fact, when we were speeding along the interstate to get me to the hospital before our daughter was born in the car, there was a truck literally driving toward us on the wrong side of the median. Husband number 2 seemed to be playing chicken with the truck until I started screaming, "We're gonna die! Get over!" So wrong again. Now, if we can't rely on common sense every time, then where does that leave us? How can we know if something is true or not? If it's a fact or not? Or if any of it really matters? Maybe it's something as simple as tuning into your gut instinct, tuning into your intuition. Every rabbit hole has a bottom. If you reach the bottom of your rabbit hole and you feel uneasy and have no peace, then something's wrong with that belief that sent you down the rabbit hole. If you've staked a claim on that belief and it's become your truth, it's okay to release that claim. Whatever facts you think back it up may just turn out to be a belief held by a whole bunch of people you no longer want to be associated with. Don't allow the loud jabbering to drown out what makes you feel joy or gives you peace. Do any of those jabberers look joyful or peaceful? I don't think so. Those folks are generally angry, and anger is born of fear. So let's go over this one more time. Truth is what you believe is so. Untruth or a lie is what you believe is not so. A fact is just a belief held by a whole bunch of people. And a belief is simply a single thought repeated so often that it becomes your truth. The moral of the story is, how you live your life and treat others is based entirely on your beliefs, no matter where they come from. Go with your gut. Dig down and root out what doesn't make sense or creates dissonance in your thinking and in your body. And take care that your truth is based on beliefs that come from a place of love, not fear. And by the way, Hazel says, it's not the wand that creates magic. It's whether you believe that the wand creates magic. Good or bad.
Yeah, something's always gonna be wrong, but that's alright.
Later, Gator.